matchup. And
can potentially sometimes be lopsided. We're just coming back here because they said, hey, these are two handsome guys.
we'll just put them on the right side.
We just got to put them up there.
We'll give them the old swap or Rooney. No, they are going to jump back into that after they make a couple of swaps. But this is going to be an interesting matchup, and it's one that I feel as though when these heroes have sort of evolved over the previous metagame, the consensus on who had the favorable matchup teeter-tottered back and forth. There's benefits to both sides being able to tax a Blood Rush Bellows turn and like try to really push the disruption on that turn so that they can't actually do anything. Versus being able to say, okay, well, you're not going to play any of that cool wizard stuff. I'm just going to take your cards away, and then you're going to die if you're playing from the Rhinar sides. That's this back and forth, and so I'm really curious in this current metagame to see how this matchup plays out.
Well, what Reinar wants to do, particularly, is just intimidate all the cards away and then smash face, right? So you don't even you're presenting the Icelander player a decision that they wanted to make anyways, but accelerating when they wanted to make it. It's like, all right, I'm intimidating you now. And I know that you're going to play a card from Arsenal, but maybe you're going to have to pitch the card that you wanted to now and maybe disrupt me early. And then I half a hero.
Yep. Well, the other interesting thing about this is both of these heroes fundamentally want to play very efficiently. They want to use their cards for maximum value, and the Rhinar decks that we've seen doing quite well, both in Blitz and in Classic Constructed lately, are the ones that are hyper efficient, that play for like a second cycle where you can set up a pitch stack of taking away your hand at the end game and then just kill you that way. And Icelander wants to do the same thing. They want to bleed their life totals down, play very efficiently, and then represent Stormstrider's lethal at the very end of the game. So both of these heroes trying to do their best to play efficiently, and we'll see who comes out on top of that here as we watch this match unfold.
Red Aether Ice Vein is getting fused with an Aether Hail. That's going to be 5 arcane damage on hit. It's going to be discard or pay 2. So with the AB that that Ethan is holding on to, Adam is presenting a pretty nasty package here. So the question in these particular cases is, what's the most efficient way? Do I take the 5 and discard? Do I pitch a blue, absorb 1? He is wearing gloves, but it's the math of just being the most, what will preserve you the most cards in hand,
Right.
so that I can then push forward my own attack plan, as Icelander is a 36 health hero. Now it shows 37. There's plenty of ways for the Icelander player to gain health, be it from Findle's Fighting Spirit, from pitching the Heart of Findle, etc. There's plenty of ways, but right now, as it stands, all the work seems to be done by the Icelander player. Reiner hasn't had that rampage that he's looking for.
We've been told that the overlays are currently being fixed, and they will flip and fix themselves here in a moment, in about a minute or so, is what we were told. And we'll see as things go how this actually stands. But it does appear that the life lead currently sitting with Ethan as he just moved to lower his life total. So I believe those will fix themselves here in a moment. As we see the play here, and there's the first Blood Rush Bellow. Beautiful signed Blood Rush Bellow as well. But this is the first big moment where Icelander can possibly say, let me stop some of this from happening and prevent some of this damage. But looking for the discard first, triggering the additional effect.
Is that head crack?
And asking for the responses to this. And there's going to be the response. Gonna trigger the Frostbite creation, and that is going to do some amount of taxing before the card draws happen. And you have to also consider the possibility of just taking this damage, taking 2 damage here off of the Aether Hail. And he's just going to take the damage and not spend any cards or any resources.
What I love about these Rhinar players is that they present to you the illusion of choice, which is essentially, all right, there's 2 cards, and, roll the dice, and one is going to be discarded, and ultimately it's always a 6. I mean, the way that these turns are designed and the way that they're sequenced is such that there's really nothing left up to chance. And I learned that lesson the hard way at one of my first ever Road to Nationals against a fellow Canadian, Gabe Scher, who was playing Rhinar, who killed me with a Reckless Swing. And he's like, all right, which card do you want? And I said, does it matter? He said,
No,
absolutely not. And
at
I
all.
said, all right, welcome to Rhinarville. And it was a nasty, nasty pill to swallow.
Yeah.
But at this moment, this is the turn that Ethan's going to want to pop off on. And
oh my God,
huge.
A second Blood Rush. And he has the resources, and he has most likely the cards in hand. And notice he set this up as well because he played most likely his only... this is insane. He played his most likely only non-attack, so it was almost guaranteed. Stole the entire hand from Adam here off of the Intimidates.
Look at Ethan. Ethan is shaking his head saying, what did I do to deserve this? My friend... That's just the way. Ethan is just saying, looking at his just good fortunes here. It's Blood Rush Bellow into Blood Rush Bellow, but it looks like he may have drawn into some garbage.
So, well, that depends. That's the real question, because on a turn like this, where you're playing your power cards, I mean the literal power cards, you don't want to get stonewalled by bad draws. And it looks like that's not a bad draw, because pulping here is going to push a metric ton of damage. And as long as he doesn't miss on this, it's going to just keep on going.
So many dice being thrown here. Let's go ahead.
Let's intimidate a 5th time.
Why not?
You have -1 cards next turn. That exists in the game, right?
Yeah, just why not? You owe me one, right? So double Blood Rush Bellow turn. These attacks are going to be massive. This pulping is going to be dominated, if I'm not mistaken, and have go again. So this is coming in real heavy. Look at that!
At this point, you can't actually accurately represent the amount of damage done with the dice at the table. You'd have to borrow the second table's dice. He's going to swing the claw for 12,000.
Those are metric. That's metric damage.
Yes,
so we're going to adjust for the U.S. here.
It should be 7. I think it's swinging the claw for 7. It's either 6 or 7, right?
It's I believe it's
Insane.
7. But yeah,
yep,
it's 7. But look at this. It's 7. Which is half the health, and there's still another claw to swing. Does he have the resources to do it? Doesn't seem like it.
Doesn't look like it, but that's okay. On this turn, you pushed your damage to the maximum, and you stole the entire hand as well. Yes, your opponent is going to have cards back, but you're at such a life lead now that the Icelander player can't necessarily play the same way, but this is a great way to return volley by sending Fiendal's Fighting Spirit, representing 7 damage and a life gain.
Yeah, so an 8-point swing in this regard, and the most important thing is, like you mentioned, the life gain is going to be important here as Adam Matecki is doing his best. Ethan Van Sant going to throw some cards in front of it. The Scabbies is a nice way to sort of go ahead and absorb some of that damage as well. What I've noticed, actually, is that Scabskin Leathers are not getting as much utilization in terms of the dice rolls. I feel like the Rhinos and the Brutes in general are just using them as just a 3-block.
No, it's exactly what it's there for. I mean, you can definitely get action points off of it, but oftentimes, again, as Rhinar, we can just play really efficiently. We can be very efficient. We can steal cards from our opponent, make their plays inefficient inherently by taking cards, and present massive damage on the turns where we need to. And you're really well positioned as Ethan to just continue pushing damage here because you are at such a life gain, like a life lead, that you can essentially shrug off anything they're throwing at you and present massive damage.
Well, that is a luxury to have if you're Ethan Van Sant here at 28. Adam does not have
No.
that luxury here as he's facing down a Reckless Rampage that is 9 damage. He's going to go ahead and throw an Ice Bolt in front of it. Sink Below is going to go ahead and soak up a little bit more. 2 is going to leak through. Adam Matecki's at 10, still in the double-digit range, but that can go away in a heartbeat against the Rhinar.
Yeah, this is a very fortuitous arsenal there on that last turn. He had Yendal's Fighting Spirit plus a D-React that were intimidated away prior. And so you kept those 2 cards, and you're able to arsenal the D-React, play out the big attack, and present some amount of defense on this turn.
Ethan Van Sant here is really going for the throat, and he's just probably going to shrug off this Aether Hail. It's a red Aether Hail, if I'm not mistaken, which is going to be 3 Arcane. It's going to cost you 1, no big deal. He's going to AB some, so the hand is not necessarily the ideal piece here. We're going to follow this up with a Waning Moon just for 2. It's on Adam Matecki's turn, so it's only going to come in for 2. But again, you got to chip away. Icelander's very good at the chipping game.
Yeah, and but the other nice thing about your position if you're playing as Rhinar here is that it's okay for you to prevent this damage from really doing a lot. And if you do prevent this damage and you just present, oh, look at that spin around. Wow, look at that. And you know what? Everything is fixed. I loved that. That was amazing. That move. That's next level Pro Tour level.
My God, was that Deadmau5 who just hit the turntables on that one?
Look, even the players, no, they didn't notice anything.
DJ Jazzy Jeff in the production studio, loving it.
Absolutely amazing. But you know what? Here's the nice thing, is you are avoiding your opponent's Icelander plays of getting back into this game by lowering your life total and trying to present, over-the-top damage. You're stopping. You're not doing that. You're saying, okay, I'm going to play efficiently. I'm going to avoid letting them back into this game by presenting consistent damage that they have to deal with Intimidates, and make them respect this and not let my life total get to a point where they can Storm Strider's me.
Ethan Van Sant at 26 on Rhinar, leaving Leviah at home. Maybe didn't want to go to Baltimore, not the vacation that she wanted here, but Rhinar's over here making a statement. Pounding face. Now, this game could have been completely different when Ethan drew up on that double Blood Rush turn. If he had one more card, I believe that if he just needed a yellow or a blue and to swing that second clause, it could have been a completely different game here. Adam Matecki doing his best to stay relevant. That looks like a Winter's Bite.
He's going to pitch into it. No, he's going to discard it, I believe. Yeah, so he's going to trigger its effect. Discarding there, and that's going to lose him a life, but it gains him a card, so he didn't actually lose a card from hand. A great little response to the Winter's Bite.
What an answer to Winter's Bite here, having the Beast Within to go ahead and just, again, recover the card, and the life at this juncture doesn't really mean much because you've got such a huge cushion, so at this rate, Ethan just wants to hold onto cards to send it back, hot and heavy here. Adam Matecki at 10, just doing his best here, but again, that 10 could just evaporate off of a double or triple Intimidate turn. Here's Pulping.
Or even off of Pulping, right? Because Pulping is going to represent a ton of damage here. If this draws and discards a 6 here, we're going to represent Dominate and the Go Again possibility. But this is a nice little response that could keep you in the game by playing this Channel Lake Frigid, possibly taxing even further. He's going to respond. Look, that's very smart, responding with the Tunic trigger to gain 2 resources.
If Adam Matecki gets back into this game and makes it close, it's off of this turn. This is a very, very pivotal turn for him. This might be that turning point for him. The Channel Lake Frigid, a great card to just slow things down, and playing it on your opponent's turn means that you do not have to check the ice card in the pitch zone. That's why he pitched the Isoturtle here. The check only occurs at the end of your own turn. So taxing 1 off of each action, but on top of that, Icelander's ability, creating that Frostbite. So the next payment that the next action that Ethan's going to take is going to cost 2 over the top.
He does succeed in the hit here, so this Pulping is going to do some serious damage and allow this turn to continue. And going to be responding is Adam with the Waning Moon trigger. This is threatening 3 damage, and Ethan has to make a decision. Does he want to disrespect the 3 damage, take 3, drop to 22? Still a very large life lead for him, but ebbing ever closer to possible Storm Strider's plays, just to try and push over the top. Does he want to calculate out? No, he's just going to take it. I think that's the right call. Going to take the damage so that he can use those resources to pay past the taxes placed on him to try and close this out.
When it comes to card game theory and card game, improving your game, if you're going from beginner to intermediate, one of the first lessons you learn is that life is a resource like anything else. It is meant to be given up in order to maintain advantage in certain cases, and that's what Ethan's doing. He is protected when he can and been very efficient with the cards that he's holding on to. But here he comes back with that pulping. Adam Matecki down to 4, and that Frostbite and the Channel Lake Frigid, hopefully for Adam here, might be able to buy him a little bit of leeway to perhaps just come back with an arsenal, maybe pitch something for a way, I don't know what he could possibly pitch to keep this Channel Lake Frigid on the board, but he's following up. Ethan is not relenting.
No, and that's a swing big. That's coming for 8 damage. There is going to be a life gain here with Fiendel's Fighting Spirit, but he's going to leak even more damage here. He's going to take the entirety of the hand from Adam, meaning that there's no arsenal. Also meaning that that channel's gone, and meaning that on your next turn, Ethan can rest assured that there's not going to be... Oh, no, there is an arsenal. Excuse me. There's one card that he can possibly access from the arsenal. So there's a little bit of counterplay that you have to worry about, possibly threatening a Frostbite generation.
So where can Ethan fumble here to open up the options for Adam? What's the potential? I mean, well, that's not it. That's definitely not it. It's not a Reckless Rampage into an Intimidate trigger. So
there's a window here for you to possibly respond, but choosing to immediately go to the Intimidate portion where you Intimidate twice, because we did discard triggering Rhinar, and we have the Intimidate built in on Alpha Rampage, and that's just going to close it out. Yep. Absolute